Right now, in the absence of formal guidance, educational institutions are being forced to improvise their rules around AI. This has created widespread confusion for educators, students, and parents alike. A consistent framework for action is no longer just a good idea. It has become an urgent necessity.
So, in this briefing, we will examine the current AI policy vacuum and establish why immediate, stopgap policies are so critical. We will then explore the severe consequences of institutional inconsistency before presenting a solution, the 6-meeting model. And finally, we will identify exactly who this framework is for and how it can be implemented.
Let's begin with the AI policy vacuum. The subtitle here is A Crisis of Institutional Inaction, and that really gets to the heart of the problem. The central issue facing education today is a widespread and damaging lack of clear AI guidance across institutions. This isn't a technological disruption that can simply be waited out. It is a crisis of inaction.
To put this into perspective, consider this statistic. Just 12% of school districts currently have a formal AI policy. With the vast majority of institutions so unprepared, waiting for top-down guidance from a district or a ministry is no longer a viable strategy.
This policy gap is really a symptom of a much deeper institutional uncertainty. As this quote suggests, the ongoing debate over specific tools has allowed leadership to avoid the fundamental question of AI's role in education and the unique value that our institutions now provide in this new landscape.
So, how do we move forward in this environment? Well, the most responsible first response is the implementation of an interim or stopgap policy. This isn't intended to be a permanent solution, but it is an essential one to navigate the current moment.
A deliberate stopgap policy is what moves an institution from chaos to clarity. It provides a consistent framework that empowers teachers, it mitigates institutional risk, and it creates the stable environment necessary for any kind of responsible AI exploration. And crucially, it establishes a solid foundation upon which a more permanent policy can be built in the future.
Now, the absence of clear, actionable guidelines has significant and negative impacts. This policy vacuum isn't a neutral state. It actively contributes to skill degradation and a profound loss of institutional trust.
Here's what that looks like. On one side, you have unguided AI use, which leads to cognitive offloading, where students' own problem-solving abilities can erode. On the other side, a structured pedagogical approach develops what we call collaborative intelligence, the ability to work with AI to achieve superior outcomes and prepare for the realities of the modern workplace.
The data reveals a stark disconnect. A full 80% of students report that institutional AI offerings do not meet their expectations. And yet, at the same time, a mere 5% are fully aware of their institution's existing guidelines. Students are using these tools extensively, but institutions are failing to guide them effectively.
The academic evidence is clear, and it confirms this trend. Over-reliance on AI, particularly without guidance, can actively harm the development of essential cognitive skills. By refusing to teach responsible AI use, schools actually risk creating the very problem they claim to prevent.
To address this crisis, we're presenting a practical path forward, the 6-meeting model. It is a structured, manageable, and immediate solution designed to move institutions from a state of inaction to the implementation of a coherent policy.
The framework progresses through 6 logical, actionable steps. It begins with assembling a team and defining scope, then moves to establishing core principles. From there, it proceeds to the practical drafting of guidelines for both students and educators, with the final stages focused on communication, implementation, and scheduling a future review.
This framework is not an abstract proposal. It is a practical guide specifically designed for the key decision-makers within an educational institution. It provides the structure necessary for leadership to guide their communities through this complex transition.
Principals, superintendents, curriculum leaders, IT directors, and policy committee members all have a critical role to play. These are the individuals best positioned to form a core team and drive the implementation of a necessary stopgap AI policy.
The path forward requires decisive action. The first step is to begin the conversation, using this framework as the tool to implement a structured and thoughtful process at your institution.
Your students are already navigating an AI-driven world. Your policy should not be far behind.